All right, hello everyone. Thank you guys for joining. This is our June installment of our EasyOS webinar series. Um, as you know, we're in thick of it things right now, so we're excited for this installment. For all our historical webinars, you can find them on our YouTube channel. If you guys look up EasyOS Inc., which is INC, you can go in YouTube and find all our historical. We've done a lot of different things for this webinar series leading up to turn. We've talked everything from the property side to inspections to setting up your turn board, executing turn boards, you name it. But today we're talking about getting the work done. So work orders from the vendor side. Everybody usually has to get to the vendor side in some form or fashion, whether you're Sparkle, whether you are maintenance doing punch, and then obviously the vendors, the traditional contract vendors during the turn period. So we think it's always good to understand how to execute and maneuver work orders in our system. We'll go over some tips and tricks as well on this webinar, but thank you guys for joining. Please, we like to do an interactive chat, or at least try to make it more interactive. So if you could put in the chat where you're calling in from or where you're viewing from, I think it's good to see all the spread outness we have during this turn time frame, especially from all our EasyOS users. So myself, Lincoln, and Corey will be on here. Lincoln will kick it off. Corey will go second. But just to give you guys an idea of where we audit all of our properties, all of our colleges, every week, just to look at progress, continue to look, see if there's anybody that's falling behind, all different type of things like that. But we're at 200,000 plus work orders in our system right now, and we'll see more over the next 4 weeks. So we'll probably be sitting at around 250, 300,000 work orders that are scheduled in the platform, in the system, to be executed on. These are active. We do have people that are currently actively turning and things of that nature. So the system is being put to the test as always during this time frame. But like I mentioned, we'll go over the vendor side. We'll go over some of the property side. We'll look at just executing work orders. So, on the vendor side, we'll talk about change orders. We'll talk about, if you're an in-house vendor, being able to see a punch list, see an inspection result. We'll talk about from the property side, when you need to flip to the other side of the app. We'll talk about, on the website, being able to look at different things. We'll look at both sides of the website. We'll be able to show you the vendor side on the web and the property side on the web, and just show you when those things are necessary. So a whole lot of just tips and tricks that we've seen over the years of assisting our managers, working with vendors, and seeing the most successful turns. So this is what we'll be doing. We'll do a question and answer at the end of this session. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat while we're going through it, and we'll answer them in order of which we received them at the end of this session. And we'll save about 5 to 10 minutes for that. So like I said, appreciate you guys for joining us, and I will bring Lincoln to the stage, and he will begin the first part of this session.
All right, let me go ahead and get our show up here. All right, everybody. Yeah, like you said, we're in the thick of it. Preparation. There's still some time to get some things prepared and buttoned up, but obviously, as we say here now, the focus is completing the work. So, again, June 25th here, work order completion. That's our main thing we're focusing on. And so I am going to go first with the vendor side, kind of going over the things that he mentioned, and then again, Corey will follow up with the property side, because this is in tandem, right? So we're going to start off with the most important thing first. And this is really just going to be about getting your vendors to buy in. At the end, I kind of have some things in there about the benefits and the importance. But the reality is, whether it's year 1, year 2, or whatever year it is, one thing that we've always come across every year when it comes to training and going through this process is people's doubt in their vendors to be able to actually utilize the system. Well, I would say that we would not be able to exist if we didn't have some kind of formula that got it done. Not to say that some people are not against learning anything new, as often a lot of us are with many things in life. But the bottom line is that my favorite stat for it is always, once they get in it, they don't want to get out of it. So getting them to get into the system, and the fact that I can sum this portion up here in 4 slides, and probably could have done it in less if I just talked through it more, this is what we're talking about. We do a great combination of some aids with our Lori. For those that are familiar with Lori, it's our AI components. We don't like to, dive in and have AI take over the entire decision-making process of everything that happens, right? But AI is fantastic, as I always say, and I know my team hears me say it a lot, but it's excellent at evaluating what needs to be done or data and then coming to a conclusion. So we use it for that. We also use it for summarizing. So we have a great component in Lori to just summarize and get together your work order list. So as a vendor, first off, just so you all know, when a vendor is added into the system, they will receive an email with the training videos they need in English and Spanish. All right, we've learned that's not always enough. It's in the initial email. Great. So then we put it on the app. So even within the app, as you see this 3 hamburger here as well, that menu bar there, the videos exist in there too. And then you all also have the video. Anyone on site also has the videos to access at any time. You can even ask Lori, the AI component, about a video you want to watch for it, and they'll also get you the video. So we have those videos. We also, for many of our sites, if you're one of our current customers, you know this, but we offer ourselves up to meet with vendors and to get them through that initial portion. So we all know there's different ways people learn information. But that's one thing that we ensure to do to try to cover ground on different ways that we offer it. So again, we knew to get this system to work, it had to be simple. So what we do is when you log on, it will give you a summary. This is from our demo site, so there's quite a bit on here. But we will get a summary. We will get a summary of the different work you have if it's rolling over from previous days. So in this scenario here, hopefully you all don't have this as much, but it is showing work from previous days that's rolling over, because in our system, old work rolls over, right? So when you open this up, you will see a list of your work. On here, it will describe the unit type, the service being provided, of course, the areas being done. If it's a partial, it'll tell you. So that you know you're not doing the entirety of the unit, and probably should wait a little longer when knocking to go in there, depending on how they have that set up for you to enter units. But when you're ready to start in that unit, you hit start. Now the reality here is you might have an on-site supervisor and 3 paint teams. That on-site supervisor might be, whatever, out at the truck where all the paint is or something, but they're going to send the crews into the rooms. They can start 3 or 4 at a time if they want to, send the crews off. And once the crews get done, they go in there, they mark it as complete once they're done with it, and it says nothing to do. They move on to the next unit. On the back end of this, as we know, this will now go to the property for them to go through and approve this work and get it done in the system. So this is all the flow right in front of you here right now. You have seeing your list. It is in an order. We go over this on our training video, but it is in a certain order. It does go numerical, so you stay together. However, a site can place a designator of priority on a couple work orders, in which case they will float to the top of your list. So if you want certain ones done, you can mark them as priority, and then our vendors are trained to go top to bottom. So they will have their list, start it, complete it, move on to the next one. So that is that portion. I'm going to go over change orders here in a bit, but that is going to be your basic flow that you're going to have going through the app. That's it. So again, people can overthink it, can do all that, but in reality, once they see it and once they get their fingers on there and they see the process of how easy it is to mark that it's being done, on the back end of this now, the data that you all get, of course, is from the time it started to the time it's completed. We capture that time frame. Of course, you all can get on your system and see when units are in progress, which is a great feeling if you're having a little bit of anxiety about making sure you get done with your 22 units for that day. It's great to have those things reflect back. So for them, it's clicking a few buttons, but for you all, it's letting them know where they're at, what their progress is, the average time they are in there completing it, a lot of different data like that. As I just mentioned, submitting change orders is something they can do. If your site is doing this, I will say this is growing in popularity across our sites in utilizing change orders, whether it be painting a raw door, sealing paint, extra cleaning in an area. These are add-ons that you can do on top of a work order. So if a work order is to paint the entirety of a unit or a couple spaces in it, but while I'm in there, we have the ability for the vendors to flip over the card. I didn't have a little video to show the flip, but to flip over the card and then to be able to then request a change order. So that is a reactive way of submitting change orders. Corey can go over it some, I'm sure, on his end, but there is a proactive way too where you can do it from the desktop, and you can, maybe you already know that a room needs a ceiling paint. You can add that change order of ceiling paint to the work they're going to do, in this case in 201. But when you get in there, the cool thing I think that, we require, right? So I'll just stop and say, previously, a lot of this stuff was done via text messages or quick emails, and collecting the data and being able to have the accountability of knowing, hey, who said you could move through with this? Who said you could do this? We never said you could do this, or we never agreed on that number. That's why we have this system. All right. The vendor is required to leave a description and take a picture before they can even submit one. This entire process of creation of a change order, completion of it, we document all that. We know who approved the change orders. We know obviously what vendor submitted them, but we have this now as a paper trail to show how we got there. We all have come across cases where maybe a vendor will bid really low to win, right? And then they get in there and they kind of sneak attack you with change orders. Not all of them, but it does happen, right? So then you'll go in there and say, at the end of the day, maybe these items were covered on this other vendor's bid, but at the end of the day, we end up spending more money because of these change orders. So, but obviously change orders are necessary in a lot of cases, but it's a great way to be able to gauge that and see that. So again, as far as the vendors putting them in, we have videos on this as well. I think it's literally a 2-minute video. And it does a great job in getting people ready for it because we see them pour in, so we know it's working. But you essentially flip over that card and you request it, and then we'll go to the property side. And again, I think Corey's going to touch on that some, but it is important to be timely. We do have notifications for that. Turn is fast moving. And so you are unable to mark complete on a unit if you're still waiting on the change order, but you can move on to the next one and keep going. But right when you submit it, the the site will get a notification that they're requesting it, and they can do it from their phone or from their computer to approve it. And then it will show that it's approved on this end. They'll get a notification and they can move on from there. So this is the change orders. And again, it's just really important to make sure that there's a way to document every single change order. That's also how we can capture your invoices with all the charges, because we can get your base prices as well as your change orders, and you'll be able to see that from an invoice standpoint. Another thing we do is in student housing, we schedule per day. Why do we schedule per day? And not everyone does. Maybe you're listening and saying we don't do it that way. But I'll tell you, for the sites that we have, the large majority schedule per day. It really helps you measure if you're on schedule each day. And so we'll often do something where we have amount of work and divvy it up amongst the days that we're doing the turn. That and some communication with your vendor to be able to say, hey, how many can you do a day, right? And you're going to find out. But anyways, all that to say, we often set it per day as far as how much work is done per day. Well, what happens when you run out of work? Because like you saw on the last slide, or 2 slides ago, when you're done, it says you're done. So eventually you're going to run out of all your work for that day. You are able in our system to request early access to future work. So as you see on this left screen here, it's marked to the 28th there. And so that's the next day from this point. And it says request early access instead of start because it's not the day to do it yet. Now, there could be very good reasons on why you're not going to do it yet. Maybe it's a unit where, as in this case, it's a partial. And you don't want them to do partials later in the day, right? These are all things you can discuss with your vendors as far as your hard rules for entering units. But also it might be that person, and you already know, hey, wait, they can't do that unit. That's 206 is the one where they move out in the morning. So it might very well be set for the next day for a very good reason. So as you notice on here too, we don't actually show the unit. We just show the bed type and the area. So this one says it's on the 2nd floor of building 1. Indicated by the little numbers there above the unit type, the DBL above that. But the day of, at midnight or whatever, it'll go ahead and show that unit so you know the unit. But either way, you can request a handful. You need another 3 or 4 because your crew's there. go through here, request early access to 3 or 4 units. And then on the vendor side, on the site side, they're going to see this icon here, which is the the early access one. And once they open it up, they're going to see the ones that were requested, and they're going to be able to see the details of that unit, and then say if they want to give early access or not. And that will, of course, allow them to do the work early. So this is a very popular feature. People start off hot often, usually not as much as this on the back end, but the first couple days people are hot and ready to go. And so it's a great tool where you all don't have to go back and manipulate all your term board. You can just approve it from your phone. You can do it from your desktop as well, but you can go through there and do that. And then we have invoicing side. So on the invoicing side here, we've always built this out to be a mobile device here. I'm going to go over some things on the next screen here for maybe the larger companies, but for most standard companies, they're doing most all their work on the mobile app, as well as invoicing. So as you all know, within our system, you are required to get your work approved by the site. Again, this is about receipts and making sure we can track who approved the work within the unit. So you want to make sure that once you get your work done, they will have an option to send a go back. So don't forget that. This is the bottom line, that this is how our system works from the very beginning of our system. We just wanted to be able to protect the sites and the vendors, right? We're protecting the vendors to make sure they get paid for all the work that they were told to do. When it's all done in the system, you can see that. As far as the sites go, they're making sure that they've signed off on the work before they invoice it. So from the vendor side, you have an invoice code. So not everybody on your call on your app, in case you share your login, not everybody in there can invoice unless they know the invoice code, which is only sent to the original person added to the account. And then with that, they're able to get to the screen you see before yourself now, which is the invoice screen, where in reality, all they're going to do is click select all and invoice. And in that moment, you're going to receive an email with a PDF, and they're going to receive an email with a PDF, but they also have a place to go grab their PDFs in the future, or email themselves again, as well as obviously the site can also go check their invoice side and see there. So again, this ensures that you don't have duplicates on here. This ensures that everything that they're invoicing for, you put in the schedule in the first place, and then you signed off. Being the site in this case. And it also shows that your work has been approved, vendor. So as a vendor, that you've been told that this is up to the standard to be paid out the decided amount at the end of it. So we go from here, and then we're going to kind of go in here to monitoring work at multiple sites. If you are a larger vendor on this call and you work at multiple sites, yes, you can still do it from the app. We have a little filter in there to do it. But in reality, if you're at an office somewhere, which is great for the field, it's great we have both options. But I will say the majority of our larger vendors can still go in here and monitor from the desktop version. So there is a desktop version, same login information, where they can go in the system and either see a specific apartment they want to view, or they can view all of them together. They can look for today. They can see how many are various statuses, as you all can read at the bottom there. I can read it through all of it, but you can see you can apply filters and see all your work that you have going on. So if you want to go in here and you've completed a lot of work, but it's not approved, maybe this is a great way to go through and sort and say, hey, a little nudge maybe to the property and say, we've got 112 units that have not been walked yet. I'm guessing you're all planning to get to it, but just kind of letting you know we're kind of waiting on that, because their step from there is going to be either to send it on a go back, which I'm sure you'd love to know as a vendor, or they're going to approve it, which you'd also love to know for two different reasons, right? But you can go on the desktop and pull this information. So I'm going to go back to one slide before I go to this last one of the benefits here to show real quick. Because I just want to kind of reiterate something for these. Obviously, the invoicing and stuff will not be needed by the maintenance teams doing work in here. But we do have a fantastic short video that lives in your Lori area that shows a video of the actual transition when you're operating as a maintenance person and an on-site person, meaning, and I show this on the short video that's on there, but even when you are doing some work as maintenance for that moment, and then later you're going to go walk behind paint, it's easy to transition. So we have a very short video with that on the Lori portion once you get in there. But I do want to say on this screen, we have a notes section. I didn't get to go over this earlier. You can load notes as the property for a vendor. So vendors, always make sure you read the notes here. You're going to see a red number there up in the note, the message icon that you see here underneath the word paint. But that's where properties can put in some additional notes for you to maybe outline some certain issues that they came across that they want you to make sure that you see in the system. But also, I'm going to speak to the in-house maintenance people. This is a great location to come in here. And instead of what I used to do, for those that know my background, I was in maintenance for a long time as well. You can go into this message portion and take your pictures, take your notes, and then go back and then view all that information still from your phone, so you're not like taking a bunch of notes inside of it. Well, why is this really beneficial? It's great. You can go back now and see, exactly what you needed per unit in the system. So it's just a great way to take it. Also, all of our pictures are time-stamped and kept in here, so it's kind of a nice little history to go along with the units as well. So for you in-house users, you're obviously not going to be invoicing in the same way, but just know that that message section always seems to be extra important to the vendors in the system. So I'm going to come back here to monitoring, and then I'm going to go over the basic benefits of using EasyOS as a vendor. And again, I could read all these, but and I think it's the reason why, like I said earlier, once they get in the system, they don't leave it. They don't get in there and say, no, I'm going to go back to doing this on paper, or I'd rather get an email with all my work. It really does protect the vendor. I hear this over and over again. We want to protect both sides, right? I mean, properties don't want vendors to not get paid for work they did, all right? And vendors aren't trying to pull one over, on the other way. So the reality here is they just want to get paid for what they did, and they just want to be charged for what they needed done, right? So this is really a nice, clean way, and it's a series of a process here that we've built on from the beginning to be, the most fair, have the most accountability for it, and it's just a great way to let people know what's going on. So definitely encourage to check those out if you're already a vendor with us, and your team's trying to figure it out more and more. Make sure to give those videos a watch. We're going to maybe have some additional videos out there, but also that's another reason why with our on-site teams using it, you kind of get a better idea. So when you're a site member using it, you have a better idea to help out vendors on there. But I will say our training video has done a great job. Vendors also have an ability to put in work orders, submit tickets to EasyOS. They also have a 1-800 number to reach out if they're running into issues. So reach out if you're getting frustrated in there, but also you can always watch videos within the same system. So that's what I have for my portion. And we're going to pass it over to Corey. And he's going to have a slide there for it.
I am going to go over the property side of things. And I always like this quote here, so I brought it up for you all to see. Lincoln swears this is from a movie. I don't think it is. It's let's kick the tires and light the fires. That means we are here, we're ready, it's time. So this is the stuff that's most important, because the things we go over now are what's going to move our term process through swiftly and help us succeed where we need to succeed. So let's kick the tires and light the fires. I wanted to present that. I also like with the holiday coming up, I'd like to share that again. I don't think it's from a movie, but that's what Lincoln says. So right after this holiday, we will get started on for most of you. So to start there, the first thing we're going to do is as our vendors are starting that very first day, we want to make sure we have an idea in our head of how much work of each service needs to get done that day, and are we going to do it? The very basic, let me forecast out and see what's going to happen. Those of you that watched the call last month on as we're going, this is all familiar, but just to reiterate, when you log in and you come to your schedule, you will see each day, you will see the amount of work orders from each service that needs to get done that day. You can click on those if you want to open up your paints and see those specifically. Same with the cleans. You can also download lists if you want them of each from that same spot right there. But this is where the vendor usage really helps you out in terms of making sure that we're going to stay on pace. So you can look at your amount that needs done that day, and then as the vendors are sending users or sending teams into units, they're hitting start. Those work orders are changing to in progress, and so that's going to allow you to see how many crews each vendor has. That's something that we've never had before. But it helps us be able to forecast out, are we going to get done that day? So if I've got 11 paints that day, I look in there, I've got 3 paint crews, I'm pretty comfortable. I think we're going to be right on there. Conversely, if you've got 3 paint crews and you've got 21 paints that day, that's going to have you needing to reach out to your vendor, having that meeting, just making sure that we both know what's expected that day. If we need to bring more teams in, we can. But this is your very first step in making sure that we're going to keep our pace that day. It used to be you had to wait at least till lunchtime if the vendor brought back the first list of what they knocked out in the morning. Now you don't even have to wait for them to finish their first unit. You can already see and tell how many people do we have, are we going to get there as we need to. So that's your very first step when you come in each day. Check out the units we got to get done that day, see how many folks we got working for us. The next step is... that's not in the right spot, so we'll skip that. If our vendors are ahead, and this is one of those things where last year, I think if you saw our very first webinar, the vast majority of our sites were ahead last year. And what we equate that to is a move-out day during the week. And last year it was Thursday, meant that we had a ton of move-outs the weekend prior. This year it's on a Friday. I think you're going to see the same thing. I think you're going to see a lot of parents just like myself. If I have to move my kids out of their apartment that week, I'm not going to wait till Friday and take a day off work. I'm going to go down the weekend before, give us a couple days to work. We all know that when you get there and your kid says they're packed, they're not packed. So we need a couple days to help them. So I think this year again is going to be a great opportunity for us to get ahead of the game by being able to turn 4 or 5 days prior to our actual move out date. And so that's because of that. Last year we actually built this tool here where you can shift those dates and say, okay, 203 moved out. I've got them scheduled for start August 1st. Let's back them up 5 days. Let's back them up 6 days. So that's what we have here is you can take a unit, take all the work orders within there. You don't have to adjust the date on each one individually. You can grab them all, open up your bulk editor, grab that shift dates, select how many days you want to back them up and move them back. Let's get our painters and cleaners and carpet cleaners and maintenance as well. Let's start as soon as we can. Any extra time that we can add to our turn is beneficial because that gives us more time to get all of our work done. Again, last year, or last webinar, we talked about change orders and the importance of them. Staying on top of them is key. And that's why that's one of the things that we don't just put on your desktop like you see here. We also send to you on your phone. So if you are out in the field and you get a notification that you have a change order request, you can stop what you're doing, look at it, check the picture. We do require vendors to take pictures on change orders for this very reason, because we want you all to be able to say, I can't walk over to that unit to look at it, but I can look on my phone right here. I can open that picture and say, okay, yeah, we need you guys to do that. I can approve it from where I am. So if you're at your desktop, great. Those will come there and you can do the same thing. But that's one of these things that we want to make sure that while you are out on site, you have the ability to keep things moving. Again, that's kind of the theme is I don't want anything to stop progress. So this is one of those things that has the potential to stop progress if we need to walk over there and check this hole in the wall and see if it's something that we want them to do or us to do. I don't have to do that anymore. I can open up my phone, look at it, approve it, let them keep working. I keep working. Nothing has held us up. So again, this is also one of those places I like to mention that you will get a notification, a push notification on your phone telling you that there's a change order request for you. So this is, again, we reach out even past just opening your phone and checking it out. We reach past that level to reach out to you proactively and say, hey, check this out. Like Lincoln mentioned as well, another place that we send something to your phone to keep work moving is your early access requests. So when your vendors do put in early access requests, those will go, again, to your desktop. If you're sitting at your computer, awesome. If you're not, we don't want you to have to go back to do that. You can do that from here. Open up your phone, check it out. You'll see, again, if a unit's partial, it's going to let you know. So if it's, if your vendor asks to open up 8 work orders and it's 4 o'clock and 4 of them are partials, I'm probably going to pick my full vacants. I don't want anybody in there interrupting a resident that might be cooking dinner or hanging out after work. I want to send you to the full vacants, work into the night. That works just great for us. But again, something that will keep work moving, something that you also don't have to be at your desktop to do. So if you are out walking units, you can also send your vendors into more. So anything that we can do, again, to keep things moving. This is another feature that we do send to your phone on purpose, intentionally, to make sure that we can keep our vendors doing their thing. The other thing that you guys are going to do on your phone, we're going to do a lot of moving. You guys know that. Our quality control walks. As I mentioned on last webinar, these are very, very important for a number of reasons. The first reason that I think is most important is going to be those first few units. Those first few units in a couple different places that I'm going to show you are very important for you to monitor for vendor progress, for vendor usage. In this case, it's very important to walk those first few units with each vendor after they're done, and to help set your standard. So if I use this example all the time. If you go into a unit, the very first unit that your cleaner has done, and they've forgotten to clean the oven, that's not intentional. Obviously, they want to do that. They got into a routine. They knocked everything out. That's one of those that could be out of sight, out of mind, because there's a door in front of it. We want to catch that in the first 2 or 3, so they don't do their 12 units for that day and have 12 ovens we missed. We want to help them see, hey, just a heads up, this crew looks to be missing the oven. We've sent the go backs. You can grab them. That means the rest of the day they will hit that, and everything will be complete. And we don't start off our first day with having a crew have to go back to almost all of their units. So those first 2, 3, 4 units, as soon as they hit complete and they generate that quality control walk, this is where you get your chance to set your standard and not just help you save time, but help your vendor save time again by not having to spend a day going through all these different go backs because there was just one thing that they missed. So these generate, of course, while you're out in the field. You don't have to come back to your computer and print these off or do anything with it. You don't need a list from the vendor. They hit complete. It pops up on your screen on the right. You guys can go walk. And then selfishly, as your vendors are completing these, walk behind them as soon as you can. That way you don't end the day with 15 units you have to walk. You can walk, and as your vendor is finishing up that 15th unit, you're finishing up your 15th walk. You guys can be done at the same time. That also means that their go-back list is set for the next day. So you don't have to come back, compile what you found, put it on your list, wait for them to come in the next morning, say, here's what you got today, here's what you missed yesterday. That can be really confusing. Let's put it all onto one list right here with their go-backs to where they can just work down their list again like they had yesterday. But again, keep things moving, walk behind them. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page those first few units so we don't get 2 days in, have to send somebody back. I know use case last year at a university, now that I think about it, we had an area manager wait and do a whole building on their walk list instead of walking behind, and the vendor cleaned everything except the ceiling fans, and that vendor had to come back and clean every single ceiling fan. Instead of catching them on the first 2 and saying, hey, let's get this and knock them out in the future, they had to do the entire building again. That's what we don't want. That's why we walk early. The next step of making sure that we're keeping our pace is invoicing. While we are pushing the work together, we do want to make sure that we are keeping up on our finances. Our vendors do have the ability, like Lincoln showed you, to invoice from the desktop, or they do invoice from the desktop, invoice from their app, but they do have the ability to send you the invoice. If you do have some vendors that aren't doing that, or that you've said, I'll help with that, you can help with that process on your desktop. So on your schedule screen up at the top, you'll see a $sign. You click into there. This is all the work orders that are approved, and you can actually send the invoice to yourself. What it's going to do is you can select all of them. You can select a particular vendor, however you want to do it. When you hit send invoice, it's going to prepare that invoice. It's going to send a notification to the vendor on their app saying, hey, an invoice is ready for you to confirm that it's correct. They don't even have to push it. They have 2 options, confirm or deny. They can look at that invoice, make sure it looks good, and confirm it, and it'll push it through to you. So if your vendor is working and you don't want them to have to worry about invoicing, or maybe you guys say, hey, I want an invoice every Friday, let me set that up and you just have to approve it, you can do that. And then every Friday you come in here, hit select all, you'll pick all those work orders, put them onto one invoice for you, send it over to you. So just something to help for you to help your vendor team while they're out in the field. This is something that if they're feeling overwhelmed or if there's something that you just want them to be nose down, doing your thing, you guys can help them from their end. So for those of you that are monitoring turns, this is we call it our CAI rate, and this is an easyfolio. So if you are a regional or above that is tracking turn progress, how is everybody doing? This CAI rate is what's important. And what it is it's simply the number of work orders in the complete, approved, or invoice status. Once a work order is complete, even if it's not walked, most of the time you can assume that the work has been done in there. So what we want to look at is show me all of the units and work orders that have been at least addressed by a vendor, hopefully walked, and best case scenario invoice. So that's our CAI rate. This can be found under easyfolio projects. You can see it for your entire portfolio, whether you're a regional with 5 sites or you're an executive vice president with 200 sites. You can get in here and track everybody's progress. What's important, again, is going to be the CAI rate here. You can sort by it. And what it's going to do is equate all of the units that have the work orders at least incomplete, approved, and invoice are going to get you to your unit ready percentage. So this is how you can watch during turn and see how many units have been completed, how many units are ready for us to say, hey, keys are ready, let's get, residents in here. So this is a way for you all to track that, not just going site by site, but at a portfolio level. The next thing, and I think I'm going to have to go up here for it because it's the one that I got out of order, but I always like to highlight this. For those of you that are regionals and above, just keep in mind, I know that you know how to do this, but I always like to reiterate this. From a portfolio level, you're going to get 2 things during turn. You're going to get your daily summary report every night per property that's currently turning, with all the work that they did for that day, how much work's remaining, which vendors did the most work, and then, of course, both on this email and in easyfolio, you can check out your projects based on their concern level. As you guys know, as a project starts, we run that project at the end of the night through AI to, like as Lincoln says, do what it does best: compile all that information. How many work orders have been done? How many work orders still need to be done? What's our pace? How much time do we have left? Are we going to get done? And when it does that, it assigns that concern level. We email it to you, but we also have a place on easyfolio where we put the high concern ones at the top because those are the ones you need to be concerned with. Those are the ones you need to worry about. The ones down at the bottom, low concern, they're moving along. They're at or ahead of schedule. They're doing well. You can still view them, but really these high concern ones are the ones that you may need to reach out to. You may need to consider bringing a backup vendor into, just kind of figure out what's going on. That's still something that we always have for you all available to not just watch from your site, but more importantly, watch all of your sites or your entire portfolio. Turns too important to let one slip through. Tens of thousands of dollars can be lost in concessions, in lack of renewals the next year, lack of leasing the next year. You know how students talk. Social media means if you have one bad turn, it's everywhere. So it can't happen. You can't have one. So we've got to watch everything. And easyfolio, I think, is a great tool that doesn't exist in a lot of other places, to where you can watch everything at once and make sure that everybody is keeping up with that pace. So just another reminder of, you don't have to go site to site. We've got it for you here. So last thing I'll talk about is vendor buy-in. Lincoln mentioned this, but I just kind of want to reiterate that having the vendors buy into what we're doing is very important. I've done 40 plus vendor calls just in the last month, 2 or 3 vendors per site. So I've talked to probably more vendors than anybody out there. What's important is, and what I like to show them is that this isn't a burden that we're trying to put on you. This is a tool that can also help you, as Lincoln outlined, but it also helps us. And so, when we can get vendors to use it and this process moves like it's designed to, it's fantastic. It's very easy. You don't get lost. You can move things around. It makes everybody's job a lot easier. One of the rules that we do like to tell our regionals and those above is, and something that we audit ourselves from our end, is the 2-day rule. If I get 2 days into someone's schedule when work is supposed to be starting and we don't see work orders moved, that vendor will not use that app the rest of the time. So at that point, that's when we need to be reaching out to sites, GMs, all that, saying, hey, what's going on? I can catch you up from those 2 days, but we get 10 days in there, I can't bring you back up to speed. So as you're auditing your sites, keep in mind, look at each one. If you're in day 2 and they have not moved any work orders yet, you need to reach out. Regarding those vendor calls, the vendors are very willing to use it. I think, once we get them in there and show it, we get it all the time. Like, I wish this existed, or I'm going to use this in other jobs. It's a lot of vendors do use it. The biggest hurdle I always have is just getting the app downloaded and getting them logged in. And I understand that's, it's very easy for me to say, hey, just go to your app store and do this. Some folks may not know where that is, and I totally get it. And that's what we do on these vendor calls. So like I said, I've done 40 of them. It's just a Zoom call. Everyone's in the office or someone calls in. And the very first step is I just say, do you have the app? Here's what it looks like. Go to your app store here, download it. Here's your login information. Once we get them in there, almost everyone doesn't just use it, but is excited to use it, understands the importance of it. So getting everyone in there is important. That's what we do on these vendor calls. And then the last thing I always like to mention is you as the property operator are the biggest tool for vendor success. On our vendor calls, I always want the property manager on there because the vendor side is so easy that if I can show you, you'll know how to use it. And at that point, you're your first contact for your vendor. So if we want to speed things along, they're going to come to you first. You need to be able to help them with whatever issue they're having. If you can't come to us, we're always prepared. We're always there. But 9 times out of 10, if they come to you, you will be able to fix whatever issue they're having just by attending that vendor training with them. 15-minute call, and we get everybody in there and get everybody working. So again, if you have vendors you want to jump on a call with us, please schedule it. We're excited to help them. And as I put here at the end, if you prepare for the success of turn, your turn will be successful. So at that point, I'll kick it back to Chase to bring us all back on and answer any questions y'all may have. Chase, you're muted, bro.
Thanks, Lincoln. Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it. Anything that we missed, please put it in the chat. Let us know anything that you expected to hear that we didn't cover. We're open to cover anything of these next 5 to 10 minutes. And like I said, thanks for coming. That's the end of this webinar.
Yep. And as I put in the chat too, if you're on here and you have people with it, just know that taking advantage of those vendor calls are huge. If I'm your person, reach out. I'll get you a 15-minute link as well to get them there. Some people have been nice enough to group a few sites together, but even if it needs to be individual, let us know, because again, the ones that we do talk with have the most success. So keep encouraging your teams. They can do it, and the vendors can absolutely do it, I promise. So that's all I got.
There's a question right there for you, Lincoln, in the chat.
Boom. Let's look. Danielle, from our property side, I can request an invoice. Property side, how can I request an invoice from vendors? Yeah, Danielle. So from the property side, to request an invoice from a vendor, it's a request is maybe a weird word. So obviously the basic format is that a vendor can go in there and submit it, but there's a way that you can be proactive, and we have that feature where you can select units and a vendor and send them an email, again, that has all that information, and then once they accept it on the email, then it becomes a real invoice that will go to both sides. So it's a feature, and I'm blanking on the exact verbiage of the name of it. I'm sorry. But the exact verbiage of that, let me see if I can get the verbatim one here. It's okay, just joking. It just says ready to invoice. That's the name of it on the schedule. So it's actually called ready to invoice. And so when you go to that portion on the calendar screen, it'll show all of them that are ready to go. And then you can isolate it by the vendor. So I can say, just show me paint, turn company, whatever, and then I can just submit it, and again, that person will receive the email. They can accept it. So again, it's more of a proactive approach to getting your invoice. Even though our original setup was that the vendor can submit it, we know people operate differently, and it's a nice. I like to call it a nice little nudge that you can give your vendor, to look at it, say, "Yep, this is good." So it's not forcing it because they still have to accept it, but it is showing them all the information laid out there. Hopefully that answers. If not, we can do more on a call. Danielle, let's see here. Can we access the training video from vendors on YouTube? I don't think they're on YouTube.
Yeah, we don't have training videos on YouTube. I don't think it's something that we couldn't do, honestly.
Yeah.
But once you log into your app, there's all your training videos inside your app.
And again, for the vendors,
desktop.
Yeah. So desktop, everywhere that you can log into us, you can get a hold of those videos and watch those. And I really actually think if you wanted to, you can actually just highlight the URL once you click into it and send it to someone and they can watch it the same way. So if you want to send it to your vendors,
also, especially the app side, are also available in Spanish, so English and Spanish. And then of course, if there's any other language we need, let us know. Claude can take care of that for us.
That's correct. Good question, though, Ryan. Appreciate it. Yeah. Anything else? Oh, hi, Lauren. I didn't see you, but I link it on there. Going back and catching up on this. I got pictures of my face on the call from people during the call while I was presenting. Appreciate that.
All right, we'll give it a couple more minutes to ask questions that come to mind. We're willing to go over anything that you guys have.
Did you like the Independence Day throwback?
I did. I saw that in there at the end. My kids need to watch that movie. It's one of those I always forget to have them watch.
Hey, I'm going to think of a perfect time next week.
I know, right? And you watch it before time. Yeah, they don't even picture Will Smith like that as an action star. Just Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's all they know him from. All right, y'all. I'm going to assume we're the background noise for these remaining people while they're eating lunch. They're just...
That's the I Dream of Jeannie theme. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Right,
I like how real you're...
That was a good little jump down, so we'll go ahead and call it. They said, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. This will be up on YouTube here shortly, and we'll send the links out to everybody. Thank you.